Greetings, I'm John the Spirit. My corporation choices are going to kill me, but at least I can pretend to have some kind of economy, and welcome to Terraforming Mars solo gameplay. We are playing on the Tharsis map again. I'm still not ready to try Hellas. As usual, we have the Venus expansion and Turmoil and Colonies, and of course Preludes, because I love me some Preludes, even though they make me only have 12 generations instead of 14 to finish the game. Polyphemos is terrible and bad, despite giving me 5 money production, so I'm going to pick Saturn systems despite it giving me very little money production. At least the titanium production will be nice. That titanium will help me pay for a science tag that I need to play Extremophiles, which will make Regolith Eaters give me a lot of oxygen bumps over the next 12 generations. If I decide to use asteroid rights for money production, I can get something like 7 money production throughout the game. Which isn't bad, it only costs me about 5 money to do so, and of course the original 10. I also have a lot of options for card draw. Enceladus will allow me to put microbes on Regolith Eaters, and I'm currently trying to decide whether to keep the Ceres colony so I can trade for steel, or Europa so I can trade for energy production, my beloved. Because I currently don't really have energy production options, and I would like to trade. That said, if I don't have the energy to trade, I'll have to spend 9 money to trade with Europa for energy production. But since I could just buy energy production for 11 money, it seems kind of useless when I could get so much greater benefits from all 3 of these, assuming I gambled hard enough and got energy production. So yeah, I'm just gonna discard Europa. Bye! A curse on Polyphemos, a curse on you, a curse on your family. I'm taking the corporation's Saturn systems to start me off with 42 money, a money production, and a titanium production. Every time I play a Jovian tag, of which I have none, I'll get another money production. We'll keep 6 cards and send our money into the trash. And then we'll play our best friend Business Empire, which, while I lose 6 money initially, gives me 6 money production for the rest of the game. Wonderful. Cellulobacteria is a nice, effective prelude. Every time I play a plant or microbe tag, including this, I'll gain a plant. I'll also gain 3 plants and draw 2 microbe cards. The sheer amount of cards currently being discarded distresses me. I don't want to know what I lost from that endless search, but I did lose AI Central, both Ice Asteroid and Giant Ice Asteroid, sorry Space Events. Lake Marineris, say goodbye to Ocean's Astromechanica, oh really goodbye to Space Events. Whatever, there's other good cards in the deck, it's gonna be fine, we'll survive. These cards suck, this wasn't worth it. Anyway, our first and last act this generation will be to play Regolith Eaters, because I want that oxygen bumping. I can't get Extremophiles down because I've only played 1 science tag, the one on Regolith Eaters, but I'll probably be able to do next generation. I'm slapping my delegate into the Reds because they're going to become the ruling party next generation thanks to this global event passing over. And with no money, all problems, I'm just going to end the generation. Thanks to Regolith Eaters and Adapted Lichen, which I will hopefully be playing before Generation 4, I expect to be able to raise the oxygen track myself at least 6 times. With the help of an Enceladus trade, that's going to go up to 8, if I can time it correctly. So I probably only need to raise oxygen about 6 times this game. That said, I'll start with it immediately. Anyway. Thank you, world government, for giving me a free terraforming every generation. Not that I get any money from it. We will hit the funny buttons that make me sad. No, I'm not going to be chairman of the Reds. I cannot believe this. This is terrible. Complete bunk. I need to keep around 6 money so I can play Trans-Neptune Probe and Extremophiles. It would also be nice to play Asteroid Rights here. That said, Moho Lake is probably the play here. Instead of getting an oxygen rate once every 2 generations, I'll suddenly get one once every generation. If I play this in Generation 2, it's basically worth 5 extra oxygen boosts. If I played in Generation 4, it's worth 4 extra oxygen boosts. That's 8 money per boost, but I also get a temperature and ocean. So as long as I play this by Generation 4, this is basically $6 per terraforming track, which is really, really good. Neptunian Power Consultants is tempting because it's energy production for trading, but I feel like we're not placing enough oceans for this to be worth it right now, so I'm not going to take it. Imported GHG seems more useful right off the bat. It'll be $10 for a heat bump. We'll take 2 cards and start off with Asteroid Rights using a titanium to discount it. It feels kind of silly to use an asteroid for this right now, but I think I should use one for 2 titanium, which will completely free Trans-Neptune Probe, allowing me to place Extremophiles. Finally, I'll use the last of my money on imported GHG, add a microbe to Regolith Eaters and use it to raise oxygen, wonderful. I'll place my delegate in the greens to help them get into power, because that will allow me to play GMO Contract. which will save me a bunch of money on things like adapted lichen and soil studies eventually if I decide to use them. It probably would have been a good idea to hit start action phase, though. Anyway, we'll immediately end the generation. We are no longer raising oxygen, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to place down an ocean instead, right here. Thanks to the TR revision, I'm not going to have any complete sets of terraforming rating over 10, so I won't lose any money, and I'm going to get a money production for my 1 influence. The Greens will indeed come into power this generation. Scientist's chairmanship has been taken, sad, I'll probably stick something in Unity instead then. Local shading will be a bunch of money production throughout the game, and Neutralizer Factory will be a cheap Venus raise later. Psyche looks nice for the titanium production, but we can't play it, and it's too exorbitantly priced. We'll play local shading and add a floater to it. We then used an asteroid to get a money production, and added a bunch of microbes to Regolith Eaters. I'm going to place an extra delegate into Greens, and then play GMO Contract, which only costs 1 money. It gives me back 2 money every time I play a plant, animal, or microbe tag. So already only costs 1 money, but because it's a microbe tag and the Greens are coming into power, I'm going to get another money back for it. So this card was free. This heavily tempts me to play Adapted Lichen. It's going to give me 2 money back, and then 1 more money back when the Greens come into power, meaning it's a $6 card for a greenery. However, in order to play Mohole Lake Next Generation, which I set as a deadline, I need 9 money to trade with Ceres, which will give me 12 money back in steel, but then I need another 19 money. I'm going to get 21 money for money production and terraforming next generation, which is almost the 27 total that I need. Then I'll get an extra 4 money from microbes, bringing it up to 25. The greenery I place will earn me 4 extra money, bringing me up to 29. Okay, I think the best bet actually is to play Adapted Lichen now. In all likelihood, I'm actually not going to trade with Ceres. I think that's a waste of money. And I've pressed all my buttons, so I'm going to end the generation. Once again, I will place an ocean. I don't want to put it where the cards are, even though it's going to give me a little money next generation. I'm just going to put it, I don't know, how about here? No, it'd be nice to derive the maximum plant bonus from oceans I place, so I'm going to put it here, where there's only 1 plant, to be clear. We'll hit the button that makes me sad, but because I'm going to be chairman, I'll get terraforming rating back. We'll hit the global event button, which did nothing for me. And we'll put in the new government to get the Greens and some extra money and change the times. Mars First is coming into power, oh well. Research Outpost is so incredible that I'm almost tempted to place it down first, but I need to put Mohole Lake first. That said, I already have microbes on Regolith Eaters, so I can raise oxygen this generation regardless of whether I put down Mohole Lake. So maybe Mohole Lake is a next generation thing. I'll take 3 cards. When I originally planned to place down Mohole Lake and get an ocean, I was going to put it here, and then I would put a greenery here to get some extra money back. Now I have to decide whether to put a greenery here or to put it here. If I put it here, I won't be able to take advantage of the 6 money I might get in the future from oceans, but if I put it here, I won't get any money at all. Given all my options, I expect to be able to put down at least 3 greeneries this game. So I think for maximum future money production, I'm going to stick a greenery here. Next, I'll play Research Outpost, which allows me to put a city next to no other tile. Most likely it's going to be right here, because that gives me access to more greenery locations. And this card draw. That said, I can get 2 plants now by putting the city here. I think I would like the little extra money I get from putting down and getting a titanium. We will use Regolith Eaters to raise oxygen as well. Add a titanium to asteroid rights, get a money production from local shading, add another microbe to Regolith Eaters. Realize all of a sudden that I can once again postpone the usage of Mohole Lake another generation, and happily slap a delegate in, I don't know, Unity. Okay, off to the next generation. We will place our next ocean right here. Then we'll hit a lot of buttons, get a small amount of money, and see what cards we get this time. Space Mirrors is simply a necessity. It's, right now, the best way I have to get energy production, although I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use it anytime soon. Ultimately, I decided against Dev Center because I already have aerial mappers for card draw, and I have Pluto for card draw, and I'm doing pretty well and don't need to waste the money. I'm probably going to regret it, though. Before we think too hard, let's press a lot of buttons and raise oxygen and get a money production. I'm actually going to renege on that money production. Instead, I'm going to have 2 asteroids on asteroid rights, just in case I need the titanium when Unity comes into power next generation. I'll place Space Mirrors, but I'm not ready to decide if I want to take energy production from it yet. Because I can trade with Enceladus, I'm increasingly tempted to not take Mohole Lake at all. Or at least, not in the very near future. It could be, at best, a steel dump. Ultimately, I think I am going to be increasing my energy production, and I'd like to play Homeostasis Bureau to get another set of heat production for heat bump reasons. Since I'm getting heat production per influence next generation, I stuck my delegate in Unity to get an extra influence, and that should hopefully give me an extra heat bump for no money waste at all. Anyway, no money, all problems, let's end the generation. Next ocean goes down here, which will increase our discount when we get to place down a greenery eventually. And then we hit all the funny buttons and put the Calvinists in power next generation, I think. I have 5 titanium this generation to use, which will be enough to play Import of Advanced GHG and Pioneer Settlement. Should I use titanium on either Sulfur Exports or Asteroid Deflection System? I think not. Solar power is 13 money for energy production, which makes it not worth it compared to using space mirrors, and I don't have the steel to make it worth it either, so it's not coming down either. The only card which could potentially be worth it is Sulfur Exports. It is titanium to raise Venus, which might be useful if I don't have a titanium dump later, but it's so much more money than just paying for a Venus raise myself, which only costs 15. So no, I'm not taking a single card this generation. Instead, let's start right off by paying for Import of Advanced GHG to get an extra heat production, and then we'll play Pioneer Settlement, which probably I should have done first because I'm putting it on Pluto. Wow, Shuttles is nice, but it's less energy production, and I need energy production to trade. GHG producing bacteria, though, now that's nice. Okay, step 1, space mirrors to increase my energy production. Step 2, trade for money and be very sad and get 5 microbes, all of which are going to go on regolith eaters. Step 3, get GHG producing bacteria and add a bunch of microbes to it. Step 4, laugh in the face of Mohole Lake, which is becoming increasingly less worth it as I continue to gain ways to add microbes and raise oxygen and stuff. We'll get some extra money production from asteroid rights and local shading, which pays for the money production I lost from putting a colony on Pluto. And I could either place down aerial mappers to start getting future card draw. I mean, I'm about to get a bunch of cards from Pluto once I have the energy to trade with it. So difficult. We'll raise the heat, at least, an action which will get me a heat production, and place a delegate in Calvinist, so I have 2 influence next generation from being in the ruling party and the chairman. That means I'll only lose 2 terraforming rating. I also raised oxygen again, so we're at 18 terraforming rating, which will go down to 16 after the next nightmare. Anyway, I do have some money, but I don't feel like using it. Who knows what cool stuff we'll get next generation, after all. As usual, we will put down yet another ocean, and hit lots of buttons to lose a grand total of 3 terraforming rating. Sponsors would be cute if it weren't so late in the game. As it is, it won't make me back the money that I spend on it in enough time. Immigration shuttles is also cute, but I don't have enough titanium to dump into it, so it looks like this is another no-card generation. What then shall I do with all this money? I can probably raise my energy production, and I'll raise both oxygen and the temperature, and add a microbe to regolith eaters so I can raise oxygen again next generation. I'll raise the temperature again to get another heat production. And although I'm not going to be using energy to do this trade, I really think I just need to pay for the trade anyway and go to Pluto because I don't have anything to spend my money on. I won't keep design microorganisms because I have enough oxygen raises in my future and the likelihood of enough greenery is that I don't need the extra plant production. Before we do anything else, I'll use Business Network so I can see another card. This card is a good titanium dump, and the microbes that I get from it will be useful for GHG-producing bacteria. I should have enough microbes the rest of the game for regolith eaters. Mars Nomads is a really great way to get what amounts to a lot of production by moving around a gold cube that wherever it goes, it picks up the placement bonus. I could get card draw from this, I could get steel. I could also consider getting plants, and if I put it in this spot and moved it back and forth, I would get 4... Ooh, actually. Placing the Nomad here and moving it back and forth would be 5 money production per generation. That amounts to 30 money over the rest of the game for the 12 money I'll spend on it. I really like that. But it could also be 6 card draws. 30 money could be 2 Venus raises. So I'm gambling between raising Venus twice, or the potential to get more cards, which might allow me to raise Venus more. I don't know. I'm a big gambling fan, so I think I'm going to put my thing right here. Then, when I hit this button, I can move him right here and get myself a card. Energy tapping could enable me to get shuttles later, but I don't need it right now. Let's hit some buttons while I think. I'll also put a delegate into the scientists to make sure they win so I can get some more card draw next generation. I was tempted to play aerial mappers, but I'm only getting 31 money, and I'm about to get a card draw, and maybe I'll get better cards that I like more. So it's once again time to stop. We'll add another ocean. I'm going to be able to add 2 oceans myself throughout the game for sure, so this is one of the last oceans I'm placing down. The buttons will make me sad, except I won't lose any titanium because I have enough influence for my single Jovian tag. It looks like I can put either the Scientist or Unity into power in a future generation, and I think it's probably going to be Unity. Mineral Deposit is basically $7 to get $10 in steel, which is, given that I'm playing Mohole Lake, slightly more helpful. I will be trading with Ceres this generation to get 10 steel, which is 20 of the 30 money I need for Mohole Lake. So Mineral Deposit would give me the rest of it. I think I'll just take Mineral Deposit. Local heat trapping won't help me because I can already place down everything I need in terms of greeneries. Refugee camp is basically just points. Capital also just points. We'll just take the 1. I don't know how I got this extra floater on this card. I think I was supposed to use it for money production or something. It doesn't matter. I'll just use it, whatever. Before we do any funny business and immediately play Mohole Lake, I'm going to do a bunch of things that will get me cards. We'll play Mars Nomad, which is my only free card draw right now, to see what we get. Skydocks, incredible. Can I use my titanium on it now? This is a good enough card to want to use immediately, but I don't know. Am I going to be playing 17? Am I going to be playing the 11 more cards this game that will make it worth it? I think yes. I think I will be. But still, let's draw some other cards first using, for example, Business Network Spaceport Colony. Another trade fleet? God damn it. I don't have the titanium to make this worth it. This is a potential 2 card draw later in the game when Unity is in power, so I'll save it for later. Our remaining card draw will come from the Scientist policy. Mining area is really nice, but requires me to place next to one of my tiles, and foolish me, I put the city on the titanium area. If I move the nomads, then I could conceive of putting the mining area right here, but I don't really know if that's kosher. So I'm just gonna leave this card around, see if I end up putting something down that will allow me to use it. Okay, so we're definitely going to start with Skydocks. Then we'll pay Mineral Deposit to get a bunch of steel and trade with Ceres to get even more steel. And we'll use 14 of that steel to get Mohole Lake, which grants me 3 plants, a temperature boost, an ocean, and the ability to put microbes on cards. That ocean will of course get me 2 cards, both of which seem really interesting. Soil enrichment can get me 7 plants for a single microbe. So before we do anything hasty, let's determine how many oxygen raises we're going to get for the rest of the game. We are going to get to hit the Regolith Eaters button 4 more times throughout the generation, in 9, 10, 11, and 12. We already have 1 greenery sitting right here. So we only need 1 more greenery, which means 5 more plants. And what are our ways of getting plants? It looks like if we place imported nitrogen at some point using our titanium, we'll get enough for a greenery. Same if we use soil studies. I think I'm just going to keep soil enrichment on hand, because it is another way to get my final greenery. Another of the many options that I have. Atmo Collectors is quite tempting. At this point in the game, I'm going to be able to push buttons on it 5 times, which is going to be basically 6 titanium throughout the game. That's 24 money, assuming I spend it during Unity, so I'd be getting 9 money back from this card. At present, I'm not really convinced it's worth it. It might be 2 free trades later, especially since I have the trade fleet. I guess I could use it right now to trade with Pluto for extra cards. This is basically a 3 trades for $13. I think that actually is worth it. So I'm going to put down Atmo Collector, put some floaters on it, use it to get energy, and trade with Pluto to get 3 card draw. Okay, I could not have asked for a better card here. Venus Shuttles is spend 12 money to raise Venus 1 step, but the cost is reduced for every Venus tag I have. I already have 2, and when I place down Venus Shuttles and Aerial Mappers, I'll have 4 Venus tags. If I raise Heat, I'm going to get an extra 3 money right now. So I can do this. We'll start with Aerial Mappers to have a place to put the floaters I'm going to get from Venus Shuttles. Then we'll play Venus Shuttles and add 2 floaters to Aerial Mappers. meaning that this action now costs 8 money. But before I do anything, let me just trade and see if this card is not useful. So let's raise Venus with the last of our money. I would really like to put an asteroid on asteroid rights for future titanium, so I'm going to sell Ironworks since I don't need it and hit the button. Molehole Lake and Extremophiles will allow me to raise the temperature using GHG producing bacteria. Oh, 3 extra money. I could have used that. Now I need to choose carefully where I put my delegate. Mars Burst is coming into power no matter what, but I can choose which party goes into power after them, either Unity or the Greens, or even Scientists if I like the card draw. I feel like Unity needs to wait until the last minute when I have all the titanium I could possibly have. So I think I'm going to put it in the Greens to get them in power relatively soon so I can use my greeneries to their maximum money-making extent. And with no money, decreasing problems, I will end the generation. Let's place down the last ocean. We will be placing down using world government terraforming. Hit all of my relatively unfriendly buttons. Be sad that I can't become chairman of the Greens, oh well. The only cards here of note are Fusion Power and Colonial Representation. Fusion Power is more trades, but I'm already getting those from ammo collectors. However, it would turn ammo collectors into a titanium producer, and this is simply the cost of steel. I'm thinking about it. Let's think about the calculus here. Fusion Power will cost me 12 money, discounted by steel, so let's consider it 10. This 10 money will guarantee me 3 free extra trades over the next 3 generations. Because I'm not using Atmo collectors to do trades, I'll instead be able to get titanium from Atmo collectors, probably about 4 titanium over the next 3 generations. That's 16 money saved. So even though I have to pay 3 money to keep this card, I'm basically getting 3 money back from it in the form of titanium that I can use on, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to raise. This is pure gambling. But you know me, I like to gamble on cards. Let's start by using our 2 free methods to draw cards. We got the useless Martian Survey and the not-so-useless Asteroid Mining Consortium. This cost me 11 money. The Jovian tag will give me a money production, which will pay me back 3 times, so this cost me 8 money. And the 3 titanium will be worth 12 money at the end of the game. But currently, titanium does not really have any major ways to get me terraforming. Until such a time as it does, I don't think Asteroid Mining Consortium is it. But we'll see if that changes after I hit Business Network. No, I don't need this wild tag. Actually, this wild tag will allow me to play Impactor Swarm for some extra heat and therefore heat bumps. I have no other Jovian tags to play, so I think I'll get Research Coordination for 3 money. I'm not compelled by any of the other trades, so I will trade with Pluto to see what other cards I get. I have to discard 1 card from my hand, to be clear. Unexpected Application is great. Discard 1 card to terraform Venus 1 step. I can do that. Solar Wind Power is extra titanium later. GHG Shipment is a necessary way to get enough heat. Well, it depends on how many floaters I can get on cards before then. I'm going to place a delegate in the Calvinist now. I'll discard Martian Survey as my required discard from Pluto. And let's think really hard about how many floaters we can get to use GHG Shipment with. If I add floaters to local shading and ammo collectors, and then add a floater to aerial mappers next generation, I'll get 5 heat from GHG Shipment. Either way, this is a card that's going to have to wait for the next generation, so I'll just keep it in mind. We'll play Unexpected Application using Siberia Systems because I don't have enough building tags to copy the production boxes of. We'll use Venus Shuttles, and use Molehole Lake and Extremophiles to fill up and use Regolith Eaters, and then we'll just put a microbe on GHG producing bacteria. Give myself the promised free trades. Wait, what? 2 power tags? Fuck. Okay, Research Coordination is going to help me more than I thought. Oh, I should have played it before Venus Shuttles. Okay, if I had remembered that wild tags count as Venus tags, I'm giving myself 1 extra money back. Okay, now we can play Fusion Power. I guess I could have played Energy Tapping, too. Whatever. Research Coordination just has so many more uses than I thought it did. We'll grab some titanium from Asteroid Rights. And at this point, I don't think there's anything we can do with money that will help us further improve our terraforming rating, so I'm just going to raise heat and end the generation. I don't want to raise Venus using world government terraforming because I'll lose the card draw. However, that's a waste of money. Because of my discount, the Asteroid Standard Project basically only costs 11 money. And my card that makes Venus raises only costs 7 money is only going to work for 3 more generations, so I still need to be raising Venus. So unfortunately, although I'll lose the card from it, I will raise Venus using the world government terraforming. Not one of these 4 cards is really interesting to me. Let's start with our free card draw in the form of Mars Nomads. Wow, common aiming is completely useless. Then we'll use Business Network and see if we want Air Raid. Also, if it actually costs 0 money, I could get 5 money from this and make local shading useful. But it costs 3 money. So I'll really only be getting 2 money back from it, which, I mean, it could be something. It's more useful than the local shading floaters will be, I think. No, I just don't think it's worth it. With a delegate coming into Unity in Generation 11, I'm confident that I can get Unity into power by the end of the game, even if I put a delegate in Calvinists now. That means it's time to get us some extra heat from GHG shipment. The question in my mind is whether to add a floater to local shading or use that floater to get money production. It'll pay me back 2 money. Given the heat production from GHG shipment, the 12 heat from Impactor Swarm, and the fact that I'm planning to trade every generation for the next 3 generations, I will have 47 heat before the heat from floaters. Since there's no way I can get 9 extra heat, and no matter what I'll get at least 1, that brings me up to 48, which is enough for 6 temperature bumps. So it simply doesn't matter. We'll just hit the button now. Let's do some more trading, first with Pluto to see what cards we get. Not one of these is useful to me, except maybe Ban Delegate if I want to stop Mars first from getting into power and maybe put like the Scientist in power instead or something? Possible. Okay, actually this is downright required because I am an idiot, and I did not correctly calculate how the delegates will come in. So if I want Unity to make it in, I really have to use this, but I can't use it right now. I will be using it once I'm chairman next generation. Lucky me. I'll discard Galilean Waystation, because I don't have enough Jovian cards for that to be useful. The other trade will go to Enceladus to put 4 microbes onto GHG-producing bacteria. Mohole Lake and Extremophiles will join Regolith Eaters to raise the oxygen. And now, because the greens are in power, I have the ability to put down greeneries. But I only have 14 plants, and if I put a greenery right here, I'll get 1 extra, which means I won't be able to put down another one. If I put it down right here, I will have enough money to place in another greenery, but I won't get the 6 money bonus I'd really like from these oceans. However, if I do that combined with soil enrichment, my calculations require a very precise number of microbes, so while this will get me 7 plants, is it worth it? The answer, as it turns out, is yes, because putting down another greenery means I raise oxygen another time, which means I only need to hit the Regolith Eaters button 1 more time, which means the Extremophiles and Mohole Lake buttons will allow me to play GHG-producing bacteria the last time I need it. Okay, fine. Soil enrichment will get me a lot of plants, and I'll remove 1 greenery from GHG-producing bacteria. I will place my first 2 greeneries next to this greenery on both sides to get 12 money back, and exactly enough plants to place 1 more greenery in this very money-making pocket. Let's hit some buttons to raise the temperature, add an asteroid to asteroid rights, get a money production, and get 2 titanium. When we use Venus shuttles to raise Venus for 7 money, we'll be at Venus 10%, which allows me to play Neutralizer Factory for 5 money. And if everything goes to plan, I'll only need to use the standard project on Venus 5 times, which is 75 money. So I just need to make sure I have 75 money in the last generation, and I'll be good. That means that after raising the temperature twice, I can afford to think about points. This frivolous action will really only cost me 1 money, thanks to the lovely GMO contract, and I can get some animals on it and hopefully some victory points by the end of the game. But none of my other cards really compel me. So let me just end the generation, putting the Calvinists into power, and raising Venus using the world government terraforming. Another set of meaningless cards. As usual, we'll start with card draw to see if we have anything I'd like to do this generation that's not nothing. Envoys from Venus is pretty solid. It will allow me to... So the world threw a wrench to my plans by putting an extra delegate in scientists, which means even if I use ban delegate to remove a delegate from Mars first, and then put my delegate in Unity, I still couldn't put Unity in power. Envoys from Venus, however, allows me to just slap 2 delegates into Unity for free and take power. Great! My other delegate could sit in, I don't know, I'll wait to see if I get a funny party thing. Our money cost card draws start with Business Network, which gives me Cartel, which I don't need. And then we'll trade with Pluto to get some extra cards, probably the last extra cards we can get. None of these cards interest me, but Methane from Titan is 2 victory points if I have a lot of titanium and nothing to use it on, so I'm just going to discard Advertising. Finally, if I raise the temperature twice using my heat, which I've just done, and GHG producing bacteria, I get an ocean to place down, the last ocean. I don't need anything really other than the card draw, and was it worth it? Very much so. I have no need to trade again this generation, so I'm going to buy High-Tech Labs and spend all my remaining energy to draw 3 cards. None of these are really that useful, but they have victory points, so I guess I'm not that mad about them. I mean, mine isn't useful, but... While I could use energy tapping to get extra energy production, now that I care about victory points, I think I'll use a cheaper method instead and pick Space Mirrors. That will restore my energy production so that in the next generation I'll be able to trade twice. If I even need steel and want to trade with Ceres, we'll find out. Let's hit the microbe buttons and raise oxygen for the last time. Yay us! We'll get a money production and 2 titanium from asteroid rights. 2 titanium from Atmo collectors. We will play Venus shuttles to raise Venus and get 2 terraforming rating from that, which will be some extra money next generation. Add an animal to Sub-Zero Saltfish. And since I didn't get any cards that require me to have delegates in a specific party, I'll just put my delegate in, I don't know, the greens. It'll be a victory point if I get or retain party leadership. With nothing else to do, I have ended the generation, and we will use our last world government terraforming to raise Venus one more time. Actually, one moment, I should have counted. I have 5 building tags plus a wild tag, and 3 influence. That's 9 total if I add influence and building tags. And a city, oh, never mind, okay, we're good. I should get 2 terraforming rating, assuming that it counts my wild tag correctly. If it doesn't, I'll just give myself the terraforming rating anyway. Yeah, it didn't work, so I will increase my terraforming rating myself. And now for the part of the show where we start gambling on victory points, because we have too much to care. We'll keep Solar Net, Subcrust Measurements, and Ecological Zone. It's time to start drawing cards manically. We'll begin with the Mars Nomads, and get our last card draw from that. Standard Technology, perfect, I can use that. Then we'll hit Business Network and see if no, Titan Air Scrapping cannot get me, well, I might have the money for this, but it's 10 money per victory point, and is therefore not very helpful. No, I'll just discard it, very sad. We will play Solar Net to draw 2 more cards. Only Wildlife Dome necessarily helps me. Actually, it'll help me with Ecological Zone, so I'm not mad about it. We'll trade with Pluto for 3 card draw. Not one of which actually helps me. Maybe artificial photosynthesis might get me another greenery, we'll see. If I now play Air Scrapping Expedition, I can put some floaters on aerial mappers and grab a card, which, ooh, perfect. I am going to have to spend 10 money to put 2 delegates in Scientists in order to be able to use this. With our remaining energy, we'll trade with Ceres, even though we won't be able to use High-Tech Lab, so that we can get Subcrust Measurements and draw yet another card. Media Group, I'm going to play a bunch of events, so yeah, that's going to come down. To save money on the many space cards we'll be playing, I'll hit Shuttles, and then Space Station. Now, Comet for Venus only cost 1 money to raise Venus. Impactor Swarm also only cost 1 money, and now I can raise heat the rest of the way by hitting this button 3 times, and using our remaining microbes to go into GHG producing bacteria. We'll use Venus Shuttles to raise Venus again for only 6 money, but let's pretend we placed Maxwell's base first, which would make this only 5 money, because it's a Venus tag. Solar Wind Power gives us back a titanium. Spaceport Colony allows me to place a colony somewhere I've already put a colony, and gives me 1 more victory point because there's 2. Neither of these cards is useful to me. Let's play Standard Technology and increase Venus the last 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I have done many complicated plant calculations, and let's now begin the plant process. Ecological Zone gives me an animal on this card every time I play an animal or plant tag. The special tile can go adjacent to any greenery tile, so I'm going to put it right here to get some money and 2 plants. Wildlife Dome requires that delegate in the greenery I talked about and allows me to place another greenery. I will be putting it right here. Noctis Farming gets me a victory point and some extra plants in the future. Microgravity Nutrition will get me some money production, but mostly it's the victory point and the extra plants. Imported nitrogen will use the last of my titanium, but get me some extra plants, and I'll put the animals in ecological zone and the microbes in extremophiles, because that's the only place I can get victory points from microbes. Actually, I'll place the 2 animals in Sub-Zero Saltfish. With 68 money, I will be able to place down methane from Titan and 2 cities, which will net me a good 8 points at the end of the game with the greeneries I'm planning to put down. But first, because I have a bunch of cards I can discard, I am going to sell 10 patents in order to put 2 delegates into scientists and play supported research to see if I get any other good cards. Unfortunately, that was a dumb waste of money. Let's standard project 2 cities, one of which will go here, and the other of which will go here. The 2 greeneries I can place down this generation will go in these 2 places. Now I simply need to get 2 more plants. I can either get 2 more plants by playing methane from Titan, which will give me 2 plants next generation, or at the end of the game, and viral enhancers, which gives me a plant for placing down plant microbe animal cards. First, because of all the cities and colonies that already exist, I only need to spend 1 money on molecular printing, which is another victory point. As much as I'd like to, I can't play carbon nanosystems without sacrificing methane from Titan, so I think I'm just going to do methane from Titan with the last of my money. Adding an animal to Sub-Zero Saltfish won't net me a victory point, but it's cute. Selling my last 6 cards will allow me to place 1 last delegate in, I don't know, the Kelvinists. And we'll end our last generation, and place down the final greenery we get right next to this city. That last greenery brought me up to 102 points, which is exactly the same number of points as last game. Wow. I was actually kind of hopeful that I'd get a lot more points this game, but I guess it just didn't work out. But hey, at least I won. The number of points you have is really a reflection of the luck you get with cards. Ultimately, I beat the game. Copium. I'm pretty pleased with all the greeneries I got down, though. Rarely have I been able to use world government terraforming on pretty much everything but oxygen. If you have no other way to raise the oxygen, greeneries cost 23 money. Which means that using world government terraforming on oxygen is the most efficient, money-wise play in a solo game. But I just had so many ways to raise oxygen for free, basically, that I was able to use world government terraforming on basically everything else. Maybe sometime I'll try an Ecoline corporation instead of anything else and see where that gets me. For now, however, that's it for today's game. See you in the next one!